How can I handle difficult people without going crazy myself? Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. I've worked for 3 decades as a professional psychologist, and I think I can help. Let's first talk about some ways to protect your own mind, and then I'll give you 3 specific script items that you can say in those interactions. All right, let's jump in. When we call someone a difficult person, it changes how we show up in that interaction. I invite you to see that. Now, you don't have to change it at this point, but notice that you're labeling that person difficult. Why this is important is because our brain gets instructions from our thoughts about how we're going to show up next. When you tell your brain that this is a difficult person that I'm dealing with, your brain goes into a protective mode, okay? It wants to protect you. In fact, I've taught this in my coaching programs for years now, that your brain has 2 main jobs: to keep you safe and to prove you right. Both of those are going to get in our way a little bit as we're dealing with difficult people. I'll put that in air quotes because that's simply a name. Let me give you an idea why naming is so important as well. We had a visitor come over to our home once. He's from another country. And as he was petting our dog, he was doing it in a strange way. And I think he was teasing us a little bit too. But he was feeling our dog along the sides as he was petting, just see how fat he was. And then he was licking his chops a little bit. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And he explained, well, in my country, dogs are lunch. And I thought, that is so weird to me because I have named my dog his name. I don't think of him as lunch. Well, in his country, they don't keep dogs as pets. They actually have them on the menu. My point is, whatever you name something determines how you treat it. And you treat lunch very differently than you treat a loved pet. Why does it matter that we call someone a difficult person? Because it changes how we show up. It changes how we approach them. So notice that you're doing that. What might we call them instead? Think about the alternate names or titles that you could give to these people that you've been calling difficult. What about interesting? Now, I use that one a lot because my brain enjoys interesting things. And so if I label someone interesting, my brain has a different instruction from my thought. Instead of going to the frustration that I might feel if I'm dealing with something that's difficult, I go to more of a curiosity when I'm dealing with something that I've labeled interesting. So I will prefer to call people interesting before I call them difficult, just because it changes how I show up. Here's another one, entertaining. I remember my wife Vicky asking me once about an old high school acquaintance that a lot of people found to be annoying. That was the title that they picked for him. And I got along with him pretty well. And Vicky asked me, how do you get along with him as well as you do? And I said, I just find him very entertaining. See, the label I picked was entertaining. Not difficult, not annoying, entertaining. And honestly, I was kind of amused by some of the things that he did. You could try this with some of those difficult people. I remember we did a webinar just before the holidays about how to deal with difficult people during the holidays. This point came up. What if you're going to a family event, for example, and you know that Uncle Charles is going to be there and he's always saying these things that are totally off the wall and offending everybody? Well, do you have to be offended? Or can you go in anticipating that you're going to be entertained by Uncle Charles? It's not going to be that you get tipped over by him. It's entertaining. See, again, the point that I'm trying to make here is that what you label it changes how you show up because it changes the feeling. These alternate labels for me help me to be more curious and less judgmental or less annoyed when I go into that interaction. So this is how we protect our own mind. Take responsibility for your thoughts. You don't have to change a thing, you have to change a think. And that will help to fortify your mind for what's next. Now, I promised you 3 things that you can put into your script, things that you can actually say. Before I go there, if you found things that work for you, would you just go down to the comments here on the video and leave some of your ideas? I've found that some of the people who are watching the videos have even better ideas than mine. So will you share them right here in the comments? Now let's get to that script. Script hint number 1, don't say anything. Wait, how's that a script thing, Dr. Paul? Yeah, here's your script. Nothing. Don't say anything. There are times when opening your mouth just makes things worse. Pause for a minute. Push the pause button and don't even say anything. Just observe and listen. And don't try to intervene as quickly. What this does is it buys a little time for you to rethink some of what's going on in your own mind. You might be able to choose one of those other labels, which brings about a different feeling for you, which helps you to create some different outcomes. You see where I'm going with that? Push the pause button. Don't say anything at all. Here's script hint number 2. Say thank you, followed by something like, that's fascinating, or I hadn't thought of that, because probably you hadn't, right? This person is going a direction that you wouldn't have chosen or that you're not particularly used to. This also buys you time and it changes the energy in the interaction. Thank you after you hear whatever it is that might have annoyed you before. I hadn't thought of that. Or that's really interesting. Or wow, that's fascinating. This leads me to the 3rd script hint, which comes from the improv comedy world. Say yes, followed by and, all right? A lot of times we get a little resistant to something that somebody's saying or doing that rubs us the wrong way, and we'll say, no, or we'll say, yeah, but. There's a big difference between yeah, but and yes, and. Do you hear the difference? Do you feel the difference? First of all, the word yeah is very dismissive. But is like saying, forget what I just said, here's what I really mean. When we say yes, that creates an energy in and of itself. It starts us off on a more positive direction and allows you to add to what's already been said instead of trying to negate it or diffuse it some way through the but. Yes, and then you add whatever it is that you want to add to that equation. Focus on the common ground or what you can actually agree with. Build on that as you move into the next part of the conversation. Now we've covered a couple of different aspects here. So important to take care of your own mind. Then the communication is powerful and crucial as you move forward. I've got a little communication cheat sheet. I'd be happy to put this in your inbox. If you would like that, just go to the URL on the screen, drpauljenkins.com/communication. I'll put it in your inbox.